What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the 90 Degrees Fightcast. I'm Dill.
And I'm Habib. Today we'll be talking about growth and fixed mindsets, how they can impact us, and tips on how to change your mindset to improve life outcomes and happiness.
So, Habib, kindly explain to everybody what is growth and fixed mindset.
So the concept of growth mindset, right, it was developed by psychologist Professor Carol Dweck from Stanford University, popularized in her book Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. So her work was identified that people adopt two types of mindsets, fixed and growth. In a fixed mindset, or by having a fixed mindset, it means that you believe intelligence, talent, and other qualities are innate and unchangeable. If you're not good at something, you typically think you will never be good at it. And by contrast, a growth mindset means you believe intelligence and talent can be developed with practice and effort. So not surprisingly, your mindset plays a major role in your motivation, resilience, and achievement. A growth mindset recognizes that setbacks are a necessary part of the learning process and allows people to bounce back by increasing motivational effort. So that kind of mindset, or this kind of mindset, sees failing as a temporary and changeable. And a growth mindset is crucial for learning, resilience, motivation, and increased performance.
All right. So, what does it actually mean to have a growth mindset, though?
Well, like the qualities, if we talk about the qualities, right? Those who adopt a growth mindset are more likely to embrace lifelong learning, right? Believe intelligence can be improved, put in more effort to learn, believe effort leads to mastery of things. They believe failures are just temporary setbacks in life. They view feedback as a source of information rather than taking it in a negative way and willingly embrace challenges, because a lot of people don't embrace challenges in life, and they're very, what's it called? They find obstacles to put in their way, like we talked about in our growth mindset, not growth mindset, in the 3-second rule video that we did.
Yeah.
They also, some of the growth mindset would view other success as a source of inspiration and view feedback as an opportunity to learn.
All right. So, what does it mean to have? You've told me what it means to have a growth mindset, yeah. So, what does it mean to have like a fixed mindset then?
Well, people with a fixed mindset believe individual traits can't change, right? So no matter how much effort you put in, you're more likely to believe intelligence and talent are static, avoid challenges to avoid failure, ignore feedback from others, feel threatened by the success of others, hide flaws so that you're not judged by others. What else? Believe that putting in effort is worthless because the outcome will be the same, because people believe that IQ and talent and intelligence are all static, like we said. And they generally view feedback as a personal criticism.
Is it like they give up easily, basically?
Yeah, it's that negativity that comes. It's you're fixed in your
fixed mindset. Growth mindset is actually learning, and you're learning from your failures and moving forward constantly. And fixed mindset is like, you're shying away or you're closing yourself off, and you're just stuck in what you believe in, basically. So having a growth mindset is very good. It's like positive thinking moving forward.
Yeah, it's some things that we do. If you look at your successes, right, in life, you generally would deal with it with a growth mindset where you have been successful. But actually looking into it, this is why we created the channel, isn't it? So that people can actually benefit from things where there's research that we do, but by opening up and actually having a conversation, a dialogue about it, we can embed. Remember I said I'm big on manipulating ourselves for desirable outcomes.
All right. So, do you have examples? Can you elaborate more and give me more examples of a growth mindset and a fixed mindset?
Well,
So, our viewers can, actually see some really good examples, like something that they can maybe relate to?
Well, I can give you some examples. So if you're ever hearing yourself say, I'm either good at something, or I'm not, that's coming from a fixed mind perspective, right? Because it's one of those things where a growth mindset, for example, would say, I can improve my skills with effort and practice. So you see the contradiction or the difference. Another example, if I give you like, when people in a fixed mindset, people might think when they're given feedback, it feels like a criticism. And on the other hand, growth mindset would, someone in that same position would appreciate when people give feedback, because it helps them learn and grow and understand more about how they're perceived by the world and whatever's going on.
Yeah, they'll generally improve on it, but somebody with a fixed mindset, like they feel like, oh, do you know what? What's going on here? You know, why did they say that?
Yeah.
But they won't take that impact in. They won't take that advice in or the criticism in to make themselves better.
Exactly.
I see what you mean.
And sometimes the hardest thing to hear are the most vital things so we can develop and grow. And seeking constructive but critical feedback is necessary. We all need it.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more, right? So someone with a fixed mindset believe that people who are naturally smart don't need to try hard to succeed, right? IQs you're born with and you don't have to do that. We both know that's not true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas someone with a growth mindset would think no one's born smart. Fine, we have IQ, but it's not a defining factor for success. We can improve with time, effort, and persistence. You know, and if I give you an example of people considered geniuses historically, who had to put time and effort into their achievements. Like, for example, Thomas Edison's teachers, right? They thought he was too stupid to learn. He was fired from his first 2 jobs. And before he invented the light bulb, he had thousands of unsuccessful attempts at doing so before it actually worked.
Yeah, I know about that. He made thousands of attempts of patents that were unsuccessful. Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, so he wasn't born a genius. He overcame his obstacles, persisted, and worked hard. And there's countless cases of people like this.
Are there any more examples?
Well, okay. Another thing is inspiration, right? Someone with a growth mind or fixed mindset, right? They will look at other people's successes, and in turn, what they do is they internalize it and they feel bad about themselves because they're not doing anything. So other people's successes, when other people's successes make you feel bad, you're stuck in a growth mindset.
It's like you hate on them.
Yeah, you hate on them because you haven't achieved, or you don't mean to hate on them, but there's an envy and a jealousy that comes up. And
that's it. That's the word, envy.
And you end up sitting there feeling bad about yourself, feeling sorry because you haven't achieved as much, but nothing stopped you. If you haven't been oppressed, you know, what's stopping you? And that's a fixed mindset. And someone in a growth mindset would see other people's successes as encouragement and inspiration to show them what is possible. So when like children or people become discouraged by other people's successes, we need to teach them to ask vital questions, critical questions. How did you get there? How did the person get there? When we see someone's success, are we seeing the tip of the iceberg? We don't know what's under the water, right? Like, you know, when you see an iceberg and you only see the tip, the majority is under the water, isn't it?
Yeah, majority is underwater, yeah.
And that's how we have to kind of see it. What we see is not what's actually happening. You don't see the effort, the rejection, the failure, the persistence and learning that went into the achievement.
All right, so can I ask you a question? Is there an actual science behind the growth mindset? Is there an actual science? Like, is there something that people can look into or read into to see, factual evidence or whatever about growth mindset?
Yeah, there are. Obviously, I'm not an expert on this, but I've done a little bit of reading, and like scientists have measured the electrical activity in the brain, right, to understand how it correlates to growth mindset. And researchers found a link between growth mindset and activation in 2 key areas of the brain. The anterior cingulate cortex If I've got it wrong, someone will correct us. But that's involved in learning and control, right? Yeah.
Somewhere there or
But the
there.
ACC, basically, the ACC, to make it easy, involved in learning and control. And the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is involved in error monitoring and behavioral adaptation. So that, what does that mean? Like, a growth mindset appears to be linked to higher motivation and error correction. It's also associated with lower activation in response to negative feedback. In addition to that, the researchers have shown that people with a growth mindset, the brain is most active when a person was told how they could improve. And they found this when they did all the scans. So, for example, tips on what to do better next time. Meanwhile, people with a fixed mindset, the brain is active when the person is being given information about their performance. So you see how they correlate?
Okay, yeah.
So with a growth mindset, your brain shows the activity when you're actually told how to improve. And the opposite is your performance, which means your brain activity starts to say, okay, I'm not good enough. And all those negative things start to come, and that's where your brain's active. So it's one of those things where we have to, and this is why I say we have to think about it and actually understand how our bodies react with our systems and our mindsets, isn't it?
So, are there, any benefits of having a growth mindset? Are there any further benefits of having a growth mindset?
Yeah, it's already outlined in what I've explained, having a growth mindset. But whether it's business or everyday life, fostering a growth mindset can have both short and long-term benefits, right? And again, like examples of how it can help. It can help you to become more resilient in the face of setbacks. Right? When you come across a difficult situation, you're more likely to frame it as a challenge to overcome rather than a reason to just throw in the towel. You become a better person, a better person and able to persist in the face of adversity.
Better individual.
Yeah.
All round.
Yeah, exactly. Better individual. You can become more adaptable rather than feeling overwhelmed or threatened by big changes. You're more likely to see them as opportunities to learn, grow, and reinvent yourself.
Yeah. I believe that, growth mindset, you can adapt to absolutely anything. Absolutely anything. I think just adapt to any form of difficulty or challenge that comes your way with a growth mindset, because you just look at taking steps to overcome whatever comes ahead of you.
Exactly. And you cultivate positive attitude, right? And you end up being around people with a growth mindset. You start to bring that type of environment around you all the time, isn't it? Which improves your own self.
So how does it help with your attitude then?
In terms of your attitude? Well, in terms of your attitude, it stops you kind of being frightened of change. It changes the way you approach challenges with optimism and confidence, makes you a better leader, fosters more positive work environment. You also get reduced burnout, fewer psychological problems such as depression and anxiety, fewer behavioral problems.
That's very good. Fewer behavioral problems. I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. So, is there a certain way to develop? Can people actually develop a growth mindset that are already on a fixed mindset, or is it something that they can be open to?
Well, this is the reason why, I wanted to create this video. It's there's a lot of people that don't really think about their mindset, how to adjust it for better outcomes, right? And we should be teaching people about the neuroscience evidence that shows the brain is malleable and improves through effort, and that there's several ways to develop your growth mindset. First things first is realize that scientifically you can improve. There's evidence, right? You can remove the fixed mindset inner voice, having the understanding. Now that I've talked about this, people can start thinking whether they're in a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, right?
Growth mindset, yeah.
Yeah, because now you're actually doing it. And what you have to do is I encourage people to go out there and just actually sit there and think, okay, I'm in a fixed mindset, I need to be in a growth mindset. Simple as that. You talk to yourself and reward the process as you're doing it. You're going to see that you become better. Another thing would be to get feedback. try and seek feedback on your work. And when, like, for example, when students, I'm a teacher, right? When students are provided with progressive feedback about what they did well and where they can improve and how to improve, it increases motivation to keep going. And feedback's associated with a pleasurable dopamine response and enhances that growth fixed mindset. You don't want to be
that's
stuck.
something we're going to be talking about. Dopamine, we're going to be talking about in another episode.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you were saying, like, how do we kind of get into a fixed growth mindset? You need to get out of your comfort zone, isn't it? And accept failure.
Learn from failure.
Yeah, learn from failure. Setbacks and like failure are just part of your learning process. That's what you have to think. You can't be sitting there and saying to yourself, oh, why did this happen? Why did that happen?
All right. So from what I understand, what you said was accept failure as part of the process. Yeah. That failure, setbacks, initial confusion, all part of the learning process. And when trying something new, you'll have failures, and it's all about the positive learning outcomes and opportunities, and you've got to try to enjoy the discovery process along the way.
Exactly.
So the conclusion is?
Well, the conclusion is that the growth mindset is the belief that intelligence and ability can be nurtured through learning and effort, right? Growth-minded people see setbacks as a necessary part of the learning process and bounce back from failure by increasing effort. This mindset has positive impacts or effect on motivation and academics performance, especially in students. Although limited, the evidence from neuroscience suggests that the brains of people with a growth mindset are more active than those with a fixed mindset, particularly in areas associated to error correction and learning.
So just to add to that conclusion, I know you and me both have had our share of failures, and with those failures, and without knowing that about the growth mindset, we've learned from our failures, and we've actually grown to become better people and to be where we are today. I've had failures in life, failures in business, and I've had failure in relationships and everything. But I wouldn't be where I am today without these failures. So I wouldn't change anything, because in turn I've learned how to avoid or how to get up and keep motivating myself to keep improving. Yeah, and I'm sure it's the same with you.
Yeah, it is. The amount of times that I've had things go wrong in my life, right? And sometimes I've had the innate ability to just get up and get over it with a growth mindset. But there's been times I've been stuck in fixed mindset. We all have. And it's not a nice place to be. You put yourself down, you feel horrible, and depending on what the situation is, it's just not a nice feeling. And when you get out of that fixed mindset, whatever it is, depression, anxiety, it's a nice feeling. So that's what I want, like, people to understand. It's a choice. It's actually a choice, and you just have to work on it.
All right, everybody. I think we'll call it a day here. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the 90 Degrees Fightcast, where we talked about growth and fixed mindset. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and were able to benefit and take away any positive points that we have made. If there is anything that you would like to add or discuss further, or please feel free to drop us a comment down below.
As always, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, follow us on social media for more information and updates on future episodes. Thank you, and see you in the next episode. Ordinary people, real talk. Bye.
Thank you.